You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Oh, let me tell you something. I am so sick of Washington and all its works and all them politicians down there and them congressmen. I'll bet you won't find none of them congressmen signing down their electric blankets tonight. Because if they did, their secretaries would get up and go home.
We gotta do something. Absolutely. You know what we gotta do? Toga party.
Toga! 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 Toga!
I want you to kill every golfer on the course.
Check me if I'm wrong, Sandy, but if I kill all the golfers, they're gonna lock me up and throw away the key.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh?
Friday! Friday! Friday!
All right, folks, happy Friday night. This is Robinson and Wright. I'm one half of the crew, Mr. Rick Robinson, the other half of the crew, the artist formerly known as Dan. No, I'm just playing. He has a new Twitter account, though, by the way. But anyway, so I'll let him decide if he wants to give that out later in the show. We are live right now on KLRNradio.com, and we do this thing usually every Friday night. I know that I have been off most of the week from America Off the Rails, and I had told you guys that I was going to do my best to do a show after this one. I don't have it in me tonight, folks. My allergies are still killing me. The only reason I'm doing this one is because I have somebody to bounce ideas off of. If I had to talk by myself for an hour again, you wouldn't have a show tonight either. Because for those of you who listen to me on a regular basis, if you can't tell that my voice sounds drastically different than usual, you don't listen enough. Because I'm dying over here. But good evening, Dan. How are you?
Good evening. I'm dying too. So between the two of us, maybe we can get a show put together.
Maybe by the end of the show, both of us will be breathing like Darth Vader?
I literally spent the 15 minutes before I called you sneezing.
See, for me,
it was awesome.
See, now the sneezing, yeah, that's terrible. But for me, like I've passed the sneezing phase of allergies. I'm now on to it almost feels like I have the flu stage of allergies. It's bad enough that I tripled up on Claritin earlier, which is probably the only reason why I'm semi-lucid right now. That, and I grabbed a nap before we started doing show stuff, so yay. Anyway.
Yeah, I was about to start feeling like I should fall asleep about 50 minutes ago, and I said, nope, I'm going to take a shower. Because I've gone through the sneezing phase, the I can't breathe phase, the I feel like I have the flu phase, and now I'm back to the sneezing phase.
Nice. So all the ladies in the audience are happy right now because they just pictured you in the shower.
We had like record rainfall here for like the last 3 weeks. So right now, all the trees are just going crazy. And everybody's mowing their lawn because they couldn't because it was raining every day. So it's wonderful.
We got all the rain we normally would get in like a month span in like 2 hours the other day. Like literally to the point where the meteorological folks had missed the mark. They kept saying, "No, it's not going to be that big of a deal, and even if it does get to the city, it's just going to be a couple sprinkles here and there." So then I get up in the morning and I'm getting ready for work because I have to commute an hour one way. So I'm like, and all of a sudden they're talking about this massive weather front moving in. And the weather girl's like, I'm so mad about these models. They got it wrong. And now we've got stuff coming straight for us. And it's going to be here in about an hour. And they were still like, it really shouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm sitting in the office doing the day job stuff. And everybody's phone goes off at the same time. Not once, but twice, because we've all got the weather alerts. So the first weather alert that comes up talks about a flash flood warning. Not 10 seconds after that one stops blaring all through the building, the next one pops up that gives me a message I've never seen before: emergency alert, flash flood warning. Apparently it was so bad that it was washing cars off the road.
Yeah, it's been not quite that severe here. We've had some times where it's been like that, but when you're watching TV just sitting back watching TV on a Sunday night, getting ready to go to sleep, and your phone goes off, and you look at it, and it's Sunday night, and it says, for your county, flash flood warning through Thursday at 8:30 in the morning. And it literally rained that whole weekend and all the way through Thursday. Sometimes just a drizzle, but sometimes you can't see 5 feet in front of your car. And now it's been bright and sunny for like 3 or 4 straight days, and everybody's yard looks like a jungle, and everybody's cutting it, and all the trees are going crazy. And flowers that bloomed are now reblooming because they all got knocked off. It's just crazy. But we don't have to worry about the drought warnings, I don't think, which we've had the last 2 years.
Yeah, we're actually, believe it or not, we're still in a drought. But then again, my state's pretty much always in a drought. I figure in another 100 years or so, we'll be the new Arizona. Because, global warming and stuff. But anyway.
Awesome. Well, your property value will go up.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll see. I hear Arizona is good for asthma and allergies, though, so I'm kind of looking forward
to it. It is.
Maybe. Of course, then again, by then I'd be like 145, so it's not like I'd be alive anyway. So anyway, lots of stuff going on in the news. Not even sure necessarily where you want to go first, because there's been news overload again. For being kind of a slow week news-wise, it seems like there's a lot of news.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to start the show off just to say that I was really sorry to hear about Charles Krauthammer.
Yeah,
that's
me too.
That's a guy that, I mean, no matter what, if he was on TV, he caught my attention. Because even, I didn't always agree with him. I agreed with him most of the time. I didn't always agree with him, but his take on everything has always been just fantastic to listen to, whether you agreed with it or not.
He's one of those people where I first noticed him years ago on Fox News and had no idea about his backstory. And it kind of struck me as odd the first couple times I'd watched him, because he would start trying to go on this tear and then he'd wind up being short of breath. And I'm like, there's got to be something going on with that guy. So I kind of looked up, and then I saw the backstory about all the things that he'd done, the spinal cord injuries. And I mean, he's always been kind of an inspiration for me, because you know a bit of my backstory as well. And seeing somebody recover to the point where he did, to not only do the things that he's done, but to make the impact that he's made on so many lives. I mean, my first thought when I read that today was, and this is going to seem kind of trite, and I apologize for that, but it was my first take on it. When I read the article that he put out today, my first thought was, I hope that when my time comes, and I know my time is coming, that I can face it with the type of bravery that he's showing, and that I've made at least a quarter of the impact in my sphere of influence that he's made in his.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, not just an incredibly intelligent, well-spoken guy that can just put a point forth that even if you don't agree with it, it makes you think about it. But just what he has endured and gone through, and yes, the way he is handling what he's going through now is pretty inspirational. And then we can really almost segue from that into, some people who I don't get it, and I don't care what side of the political fence you're on. when it comes to somebody dying or saying they're dying or having something tragic happen in their life, why do people have to literally applaud it? I mean, case in point, and the one that really just irks me is Oliver Willis. I mean, he literally is just sitting back and going, I mean, to paraphrase him, he's literally going, why are you people praising this guy? He's Satan. Just because he doesn't agree with them.
Yeah, the one that pissed me off, and I pretty much called him out on it, was... Actually, hang on. Where is it at? I got it here somewhere. So he tweets out, death doesn't make a very bad guy a good guy.
Yeah.
So,
that's Oliver Willis.
Yeah, so my response, someone should tell your family to put that on your tombstone. It is, after all, more of an insight about you than it is about Charles Krauthammer. Which, to me, is a true statement, because one of the things that I pointed out back when everybody was either clutching their pearls or cheering on the fact that Donald Trump was making snide comments about John McCain, that's more of a reflection on Donald Trump than it is John McCain, in my opinion. My stance on that, hasn't changed. I'm going to give you guys my take on it. Look, for those of you that were shrieking about John McCain and now you're doing the same about Krauthammer, I can somewhat respect that, because at least you're being consistent. For those of you that defended McCain and now you're defending Krauthammer, I can respect that because you're being consistent. The ones that piss me off, and the ones that I will call out every single time, are the ones that were sitting there clutching their pearls. Oh my God, I can't believe the president and everybody else is saying all these mean things about John McCain. Oh look, Charles Krauthammer's dying. Let's get the marshmallows.
Yeah, exactly. I don't... The whole way things are right now, I mean, honestly, if anybody over on the other side of the aisle came out, even you know, I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. It could be freaking Nancy Pelosi, whoever. I would feel bad. I mean, as much as I can't stand her, as much as she's still an American, and she's still a human being. I just, you know, I mean, that's what killed me about the whole shooting in D.C. at the softball practice. If it had been the Democrats that had gotten shot up, I would have felt just as bad. You know, I don't get the whole rah, 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 look at that, ha ha, they got shot up. Oh, they support guns. That's what they get, what they deserve. No, it's not the way you're supposed to think. It's not the way it's supposed to work. I mean, when it comes right down to it, we're all Americans. We're all fellow countrymen. Whether we agree on things or not, we're all still fellow Americans. You know, something like that happens, partisanship should go right out the window. And when that happened, the other side forced us into partisanship. They did. They forced us into it. I mean, at that point, you go on the defensive. You say, oh, well, the guy that did it was a Democrat. You know, I mean, it shouldn't have to be that way. It shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
None of this...
It should never be that way.
It's a terrible thing that happened to Americans. What happened to the fact that we're all Americans? I don't know where that went out the window.
I'll tell you where.
I don't get it.
I know exactly when it went out the window. let me, because I've had a few insights since the last time you and I did a show together. So I finally got a chance to sit down and watch Hillary's America, because I got kind of intrigued when I started reading all the stuff about D'Souza again. So I was going through my Amazon Prime, and I'm like, oh, they have that movie there for free. I've never watched it. It's a Saturday night. What the hell? So I actually watched it last Saturday night before I went to bed to get ready for church. And I have to tell you, as a history guy who's main thing all the way through high school and college was reading as much about history as I could, and being involved in social sciences so much that by the time I graduated high school, I had 26 social science credits. We won't talk about the number of credits I had in college, but 26 social science credits. I'm a real big history guy, and I learned things from that movie that I didn't even know. Some very scary things about the Democratic Party, about the reason why it was created in the first place, about pretty much what all of their heroes have been involved in behind the scenes that nobody's talked about. Like, I don't know if you know this, you might, but, Margaret Sanger, the lady that, Hillary Clinton was like, oh, she's an idol of mine, I've always looked up to her, blah, 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 blah. The very first speech that she ever gave was at the Wives of the KKK rally.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. So that kind of floored me. Because I'm like, wait a minute. So this is easily researchable. You can go Google it. It'll pull straight up. Because I did it after I watched the movie. Because I was like, I don't take anything that anybody says at face value anymore. I don't care who they are. If I can't research it, then I'm not going to talk about it. So I took 4 or 5 different points all the way through this movie that it was making, and I researched them. Like Saul Alinsky, everybody's hero, Hillary's hero, Obama's hero. You know what his first action as a quote-unquote community organizer was? Do you know what gave him the idea? He was at a cafeteria. Yeah. I think it was in Chicago. He was in a cafeteria. He was there was like a chain of 5 or 6 of them all over town. So his first idea is what he came up and coined the term community organizer. He was sitting at that cafeteria drinking coffee. He went up to the counter, told the cashier that he'd lost his ticket, because, you have to show them the receipt to pay. Well, he says, I lost my ticket. So she's like, okay, well, that's fine. I saw you were just sitting there drinking coffee. It'll be 5 cents. He takes that 5-cent ticket, goes to the same brand of cafeteria a couple of miles away, he sits in the farthest place away that he can from the counter, orders almost $2 worth of food, which back then would have been a lot of food, and eats it, and then takes the 5-cent ticket for the coffee and goes up there and uses that ticket and pays 5 cents for a $2 meal. His first idea as a community organizer was, well, if this works for me, then it'll work for other people. He actually gave an interview in, I believe it was a 1976 issue of Playboy, where he disclosed the fact that he'd come up with the idea of community organizer to make people's lives easier. One of the first things that he came up with the concept of doing is teaching people how to cheat the cafeterias, because the right to eat was more important than those people making money. That's a hero of the left.
Yeah. And that's exactly, if you look at, something for nothing. That to me is what the mantra of the left should be, is something for nothing. Because that's what all of their policies are.
You know what?
All of their policies are take from the people that work hard and make lives better for the people that don't. Now, I say that, and people will go, oh, you're saying that No, I understand. There are people out there that need help. I get that. I worked in Hyattsville, Maryland. Something in Hyattsville, Maryland just really turned my stomach. This was before I was married. Oh, it was right when I got married, and I worked at a restaurant. I managed a restaurant, and we ran out of something one day. So I went to the local giant grocery store to pick up what we needed. And I'm standing in line. The woman in front of me, she's got 2 kids. Both kids are wearing real nice clothes, brand new Nikes. She's in, this will date me, but she's in at the time what was fashionable, a nice Gucci sweatsuit, and she's wearing brand new sneakers, and she's got all kinds of jewelry on, and she's buying all this high-end food, and it all gets rung up, and she pays with food stamps, right? And I'm buying like 2 heads of lettuce. So she gets all of her groceries loaded up. She heads out, boom, bring up my lettuce. She puts it in the bag. I pay for it. I walk outside. She's out there loading her groceries into what looks like a fairly new BMW. Now, this was the scam in Maryland, and I started researching it when I was up there, and I found out what the scam was. Is couples in the quote-unquote ghetto, they would get together, they would have kids. She would get Section 8 housing basically paid for, food stamps, welfare. He would get a job, but if they got married, she'd lose all that. He couldn't live in the house, but they knew when the visits were going to be, so he wouldn't be there. So now you got a man working a job, the woman getting welfare, food stamps, housing just about paid for. And here I was, working my butt off, driving a beat-up old Chevy Spectrum, and they're living the high life. That happens a lot, everywhere.
It happens a hell of a lot more than the left wants to admit.
Social programs are out of control.
Yeah, I mean, it happens a hell of a lot more than the left wants to admit because because they don't care. Because that's, believe it or not, part of the reason why it works the way that it does is because that's what they want to have happen. When you have one of the heroes of the left basically teach you how to steal from a cafeteria because your right to eat is more important than their right to make money, that should tell you what the left's platform is. When one of the left's heroes' first speech was ever given at a KKK rally, and her main idea was to pluck the African American species like a weed, which is exactly what she said at that rally, then you should know what the heart of the left is. This is the problem. And the thing about it is they've been able to hide it now for decades, but they're not able to hide it anymore. All these things that seem like they would be tinfoil hat conspiracy theories that are coming out now that we know are true, like the fact that we know that Iran was involved in the 9/11 terror attacks. We know it now. We're actually starting to see proof of it. The problem is, not only did we know it, but Barack Obama knew it, and he still brokered the worst deal possible with Iran at the time, and these people are the ones trying to tell us that Donald Trump is the traitor. These people can kiss my ass. Sorry, I'm a little hot.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, you brought up Sanger. I mean, here's the woman that basically created commercial abortions. She created commercial abortions for a reason. Because she wanted to eradicate a sector of America. But now, she's applauded because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have Planned Parenthood and commercial abortions. She's applauded as, the founder of Women's Health. It had nothing to do with that. She wanted cheap, easy, free abortions for black people.
Can you imagine how pissed off she'd be if she was alive today and seeing all the white women walking into abortion clinics?
Yeah, she'd be like, "Well, what are you doing?"
She'd be like, "This was not what my idea was about." And then I'd be like, "Well, you know what? That's what happens. You come up with a stupid, evil idea, and somebody finds a way to twist it." But I mean, the scariest...
No, but the Democrats rewrite history. They just rewrite history so that it's exactly how they want it to be. It's, people laugh when you do the whole unicorn fairy dust thing with the Democrats, but that's what it is. Their reality is unicorns and fairy dust because their reality doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. They rewrite history. And then they tell us we rewrite history. I read history. I don't rewrite it. I know what the history is.
I don't need to rewrite it because I know what it says. You want to rewrite it because you don't like what it says. That's like, and one of the things, and again, I knew this on some level, but I had forgotten about it. One of the things that was brought back to my mind watching that movie that Dinesh had put out was because lately I've seen, with us talking about all this, immigration reform and this, that, and the other, I keep seeing all these liberals that keep posting these things about, so great, you're telling us that you don't want people that are here illegally. When are you planning on giving the Native Americans their land back? Your party's the one that ran them off in the first place. They were the ones that came up with the idea of manifest destiny. They were the ones that decided to start putting them on reservations. That wasn't Republicans. We fought it tooth and nail the entire time. There were people that were standing up to the day that it started happening. There was somebody, but that's the point. They don't know this stuff because it's not being taught anymore. That's why they're able to say, well, the party switched in the 60s because LBJ got civil rights passed. No, LBJ didn't pass civil rights on his own. The Republicans passed civil rights through Congress. LBJ signed it, and behind closed doors, LBJ said, I'm going to sign this because if we can sign this, we'll have these N-words voting for us for the next 150 years. And they knew it when he said it, even though they weren't happy about it, and they've seen it work. But what's scaring them now is there are more and more African-American people that are waking up to the fact that they really have been trying to keep African-Americans on the modern version of a plantation. They want them in the hood. They want them on programs. They don't want them to be able to get off. That's why they get so pissed off when it happens, because it's one less person that they can control. The more people they can control, the easier it's going to be for them to continue to control other people. And we need to really start looking at the reason why these programs were started, because they weren't started with the good intentions that we've been led to believe they were. They were started as a means of control. The fact of the matter is, if you go and you look, you will find throughout history, every single thing that a Democrat has ever touched has been about control.
That's right. If you keep a person dependent, they're going to be dependent. The end. What's their motivation? What's like I said, what's the motivation of the woman in front of me with 2 kids with everything she could ever want? What's her motivation to do anything else? She can stay home with her kids. Her man can work a menial job, and they can live on $90,000 a year. It's not really $90,000 a year, but if you add in the fact that their house is being paid for, and they're getting $800 a month in food stamps, and they're getting, a $2,000 a month or whatever welfare check, ooh, that's living pretty damn good. Can you imagine having a dual income and having your house and food paid for?
That would, I would like to have that happen, but not in the way that they get it done.
Yeah, but people. I don't understand why people don't wake up. I mean, I do know that there are people out there that do need it. There are. I get that. I get that there is good that comes out of some of these social programs. I get it. I've seen it in my life. I mean, especially like, a WIC program, a food stamp program, it really does help some families that need it. Single moms, there's some situations you can say, oh, we're single moms, why is the dad paying? Well, sometimes the dad just doesn't pay. I get it. That's good. I don't have a problem with that. But what I have a problem with is the abuse and the lack of a system, the lack of having a system that will look for abuses. Well, what's so hard about it? We got investigators for everything else. And why can't the welfare system and the food stamp system, even the Section 8 housing in Maryland, you're literally told when they're going to come out and do a home visit. Well, why? It should be random. If you have a parole officer or a probation officer, That's random visits. They can just show up whenever they want. Why can't it be the same for Section 8 housing?
So here's my thing, because this is the left's conversation point anytime I bring this stuff up, is, well, you have no idea how cost prohibitive it's going to be to do that type of stuff, and how much of it is it actually going to catch. But my thing with it, and this is when they tend to shut up, is I'm like, look, I'm not necessarily so concerned about the waste and the abuse as I am of forcing people to actually have to strive to make something of themselves again. We've seen our future in movies like, what was that movie with the little, what was it? I can't think of the name of the movie. It was a cartoon movie. They were in the future. It was a stupid little robot, looked like a trash can, and all the people were floating around on freaking hover beds and never did anything but watch screens and float around everywhere, and they all weighed 500 million pounds. So, but when you see things like that, that's kind of what our future is going to be, to a point, if we don't stop allowing the government to take care of us. Because if you don't have to strive to get anything anymore, what the hell's the point? I mean, that's like half the stuff that I'm doing right now. I don't have to do a lot of the things that I do. I do them because I want to do them, and I do them because I'm striving to make things better for me, my family, and for the world around me. But if I don't have to struggle, if there's nothing for me to fight for, what the hell is the point? If I can just sit at home, I mean, because, guys, look, some of you haven't met me. Dan has. I could legitimately be sitting home right now pulling a government check and not do a damn thing. But I choose not to. Because it would kill me. If I was sitting around doing nothing all day long, but watching TV and doing nothing else, I would eventually I would either die or go nuts. So I have a day job.
Well, yeah, but you could do it, and it wouldn't. I mean, it.
Well, that's my point. If I did it, it wouldn't be abuse.
What you've been through, you could be totally legitimately on disability. I mean, because of what you've been through. I mean, and it would be legitimate, but you don't want to. That's the difference. That's a difference in mindset. It really is. I've had this job, the job I do a very physical job. I mean, it can involve some pretty extreme lifting and stuff, and I've hurt myself. I haven't spent a day on disability or workman's comp. I literally tore my rotator, and I took care of it. They didn't know it was torn. They thought it was strained, but I didn't miss a day of work. It's a work ethic thing, is what it is. And some people have it, and some people just don't. I'm trying to think of what country it is. I think it's one of the Scandinavian countries where they have, the whole minimum, the minimum income.
Yeah, the universal
system,
basic.
The universal basic income, right? And now the government is actually starting to tell people, look, you have to get motivated and do something because this is going to run out. And maybe we should still think about having my brother on. My brother is kind of a proponent of this. And if you listen to it, and if you listen to how it's really supposed to work, it really could work if it actually worked, and maybe if you had a private company handle it. Government could never handle work. The government could do that. That's what's happening there, is motivated to actually go out and earn money over and pay taxes. And now they're like, okay, well, we're running out of money. See, because the whole thing is it gives the people that can't work, or the people that intermittently can't find work, a good income, But it also gives the people that are making money part of that income too. It supplements your income. But people have to be working and paying into it. And if they're not working and paying into it, then it fails, and that's what's happening. Because they're all going, I could just live on that. And they're not working. So you're ending up with a whole country of people that don't work because they're just pulling a paycheck. Got two people, got a husband and wife or a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're each pulling a, $1,500 check a month. That's $3,000 a month. Yeah, we could live on that, and then we don't have to do anything. We can pay the rent, the food, the cable, the internet. What else do we need?
Not much else. If the government's handing you the money, hell, at that point, you don't even really need to have a car. Because, you can just
that's right.
use mass transit when you got to go to the store, because that's pretty much the only thing you're ever going to leave your house for. I don't
use mass transit when you need to go to the store. You just call Amazon and have it delivered.
Well, that's true. I keep forgetting because there are all those companies now that deliver things like that. But there's another country over there that I actually was reading a similar story, and they've actually, because at one point they were actually taking care of people's expenses. They weren't handing them money per se, but they made sure that their citizens didn't really have to pay for anything. So they're actually transitioning to more of a universal basic income concept, so that people get X amount of dollars per month, and then when that's gone, that's gone. Because, again, they're running into a situation where they're starting to run out of money because nobody's working anymore because the government's handing them money. So, what the hell do you need to work for if the government's going to hand you money? And the reason I brought this up was actually because I was going to try to transition to another topic that's come up this week that again, shows the mindset of the left. Nancy Pelosi, and I had the audio, but my computer's acting crazy, so I'm not going to be able to play it, was recorded this week making a statement about, whoop-de-doo, unemployment's the lowest it's ever been. How does that help my constituents' wallet? They're working, apparently. So I'm not sure how that doesn't help their wallet. But this is the mindset of the left, because they don't want us to be able to take care of themselves. I mean, and unfortunately, there are plenty of people that are on both sides of the party aisle that I still consider leftist, because it doesn't really matter anymore what the letter behind your name is. It matters more what your political ideology is. And there are plenty of people in both parties that want full-on government control. That's one of the things that Donald Trump, that's why he's been having such a hard time since he got into office. Think about this for a second. If Barack Obama had done a tenth of what he's managed to do in the last 2 years, in his first 2 years in office, the media would be... Forget him screaming about wanting to throw a parade. The media would be throwing him a parade. There would be National Barack Obama Day, and it would be because he saved the world. Our economy's better than it's ever been, and it's thanks to Obama. Hell, they were singing songs about him before he ever got elected. They had grade school kids singing songs about this man. But Trump is a horrible person because he doesn't know how to control his mouth. Look, I hate to tell you guys this, but everybody in this country is living like we're a bunch of Catholic school kids. You guys all cuss. You all say stuff you're not supposed to say. You all make crass comments. Is it really that big of a deal that a president is finally talking pretty much like the rest of us? And I have to tell you, it's taken me a long time to get to this point, but when I keep watching all of you morons and you Nimrods, especially on social media, that want to wring your hands every time he says something hateful, but then you turn right around and it's just okay and great and fine and dandy for you to do it when it's somebody that you don't like, that I'm tired of that. Because you can't, the president shouldn't say that. I'm an everyday American. I can say whatever I want. I have freedom of speech, but he's the president. He should set a better example. Motherfucker, he works for you. So who should be setting the better example? You or him? I almost said a really bad word.
That's a good point right there. And I know exactly where you're going with it, and I'll even put it out there, the Salon Con types and the Buckley Club types, these guys that are like, we're real conservatism, and then you go look at their social media timelines and their basically retweeting Democrats.
Yeah, when you tell me you're real conservatism and you're retweeting, what's the Democrat dude from Texas that's running against Cruz? Benito.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When you're retweeting a devout socialist and telling me that you're the real conservative, you've lost your ever loving effing minds.
Oh yeah. Or if you go, I mean, I had a guy yesterday, and his bio says he's a real conservative, and he's in a timeline basically calling for the repeal of the Second Amendment and attacking the Leshes. I'm like, and you're a real conservative? When did this happen?
No,
you're literally attacking the Constitution, and you're a real conservative?
So yeah, I actually called somebody out for that the other day, and I don't even know who it was that responded, because they only got one tweet in, and then, well, I guess it was two, because basically it was somebody, and it was the exact same thing that I'm talking about right now. Somebody in Texas was planning on not voting for Cruz because, as far as they're concerned, Cruz compromised his principles when he started working with Trump. So they're going to vote for this Benito moron who's basically a socialist, and everybody knows it. So I'm like, okay, and I'm going through the dude's bio, and he's like, Constitution, or limited small government above all, Constitution above all, and I'm like, okay, so your answer to limited government above all is to side against Cruz because you feel like he's compromised his principles, but you're going to side with a socialist who wants nothing but the biggest government possible so they can run your life from the moment you're born till the moment you die. You also say that you want Constitution above all, but you're willing to side with a socialist over hurt feelings who want to basically take the Constitution and use it as a format, but Constitution above all. Not a good plan. So somebody else replied and says, you're a moron, and then right after that he said, I block morons. So he didn't even give me a chance to reply, because by the time I even noticed what he'd done, he'd blocked me. No skin off my nose, because I really don't care. Look, guys, and I've said this before, and I don't think people are really grasping it. My name that I use on Twitter is not my real name, but everything else is me. I would talk to you the way I talk to you on Twitter. If we meet, I will talk to you the same way. You can ask Dan. I don't pull punches. I may BS with you if I know you. I may not be quite so sarcastic until I get to know you a little bit better. But for the most part, if I'm going to say something to you on social media, I'm going to say it to your face. Because if I can be as brutally honest and still try to be as funny about how effed up I am, then I'm not going to pull any punches when I'm talking to you. You guys have seen my timeline. I have people all the time that, you're way too hard on yourselves. I'm like, you don't get it. It's comedy for me now. Because it was a coping mechanism for a long time. Because it took me a very long time to get comfortable in my skin again. Because I spent most of my adult life being made fun of, and I had to find a way to cope with it again. Because that's the kind of world that we live in. The same people that are telling you how tolerant they are, spent most of my adult life telling me that I was worthless.
Yeah, but now you're a kung fu guy with a sword, so everything's really cool.
Yeah, actually, when he first said Kung Fu Rick, I thought for a second he was going to bust out with Kung Fu Grip Rick, and I was like, I was glad he didn't put grip in there, because I have way too many twisted and demented friends, and they'd be like, what exactly are you doing with that Kung Fu grip there, Ricky? I'm like, shut up.
Well, do you know what's sad where social media has gotten to?
What's that?
Is that I can't be me on the internet.
Well, you can, but the moment you are, you're just gone again.
Right, because apparently I've made such an impact that I'm just going to get mass reported and suspended. So I can't be me, and now all these idiots will go, oh, look at you, little Mr. Anonymous. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, well, I'm Mr. Anonymous because I can't be me, because idiots like you are just going to report everything I say no matter what and get me suspended. So, nah. I'm a dog now.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, and you're wearing milk-bone underwear. Is that what you're saying? Oh,
yeah,
man.
I'm an Irish wolfhound, though. That's a badass dog.
I told you a long time ago what you honestly should probably do when you get back to the point where you can make an account that's actually you again is protect your account for a while so that you can't get mass reported right away.
Yeah. It's so hard to do, though.
Well, it's so hard to do because you want to white knight everybody, and I love you for that, but you just got to learn to chill. Because you have way too many people that you're willing to go to the mat for that don't give a crap what happens to you in the process.
Probably.
But that's who you are, and that's one of the reasons why you and I get along, because I'm the same way. I will move heaven and earth for people that I care about, and I would step in front of a bullet for a lot of people that wouldn't do the same for me. So I understand it, but that's one of the things that I had to come to terms with, because I started getting twit mode a lot too, and I finally started realizing, half these people that I'm about to lose my account over probably don't really give a shit what happens to me, so I probably shouldn't be willing to step in front of a bullet for them. And I'm not saying not to do it for the people that you interact with on a daily basis, but especially when it's somebody that you barely know, because, anymore, I don't really trust anybody that I don't interact with on Twitter on a daily basis, because I don't know who's legit anymore and who's just being an ass. Because I've actually, and this is something that I heard about from somebody else, there are a group of people out there that will actually stage fights to bring people in to get them mass reported, to get them suspended.
Yeah, well, my problem is it doesn't, I can just sit back and do nothing right now. I don't have to do anything, and I'll just get mass reported.
Well, yeah, but that's because you've got everybody's radar.
I'm not the only one.
Oh, I know. There's a bunch of you out there. There happens to a lot more people than anybody realizes. But I think, fortunately or unfortunately for Twitter, I'm pretty sure that court ruling about Trump is probably going to change that soon. Because I'm telling you, I'm not an attorney, but having dealt with attorneys and been in a business that required me to understand the difference between private property and private property with public access as well as public property, that ruling that the judge made that declared all tweets around Donald Trump public access information, you can't declare one part of Twitter public access information without making it all public access information. And that ruling, if it stands, is going to bite them in the ass.
Yeah, You're literally just turning it into a public utility,
and they're not going to like that, because that means they can't. Over to the government.
The electric company, which is a private company here, they can't deny me electric service. The phone company can't deny me phone service. The gas company can't deny me gas service. This could make it so Twitter can't deny me Twitter service.
And, it literally could, because think about it for a second. They are literally saying that by Donald Trump blocking people, he is violating their constitutional rights and not giving them free, unfettered access to the president. So, by extension, you could say that when Twitter removes people from the platform of their own choosing, they are therefore violating those people's constitutional rights. At least from an American perspective. Now, they may not be able to make that argument anywhere else in the world unless they're talking about their own foreign leaders. But this does open a can of worms for Twitter, because that means that you as an American could literally lodge a complaint with Twitter right now, because under your main account that was suspended for false pretense because you were not operating multiple accounts for overlapping purposes, you could say that based on your algorithm banning my account under false pretenses, you have now hindered my access to the President of the United States.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And both points hold true, is by doing that, they are making it a public utility. Now, they could make it a pay service, but Twitter would just fail if they did that. So they can't do that. But by making it a public utility, you cannot deny service to a public utility. You just can't. It's against the law. Can you imagine you sit there, you buy a house, and you have one choice in electricity, and you have one choice in gas, and one choice in water, and they'll come in and go, nah, we don't want to give you service. Can't do that.
Yeah, it's one thing if you owe money and you didn't pay it, and you're like, we're not going to give you service till you pay your bill. But it's another thing when they're just, we don't like the fact that you're not 6 foot tall, so we're not going to give you electric service. or you can't have water because your hair's the wrong color. Those are the type of things that this is the conversation that's about to start happening on Twitter if that ruling stands. And everybody laughed at me, but I'm telling you, I've worked in that realm long enough that I know what is about to start happening, because as somebody that transitioned from public sector to private sector doing security work and everything else, I had to learn the vast differences between being and working in the public to then working on what would be considered private property with public access. Up until now, that's been Twitter's business model. They are a private business. They are allowing public access, but as a private business, they have the ability to regulate that access. That judge just shot that whole argument in the foot. Because when a user on Twitter doesn't have the authority to regulate their own actions on that account, then neither does Twitter. Because they're blocking,
that's right, because
they're blocking access to a public figure.
The court is basically saying that I can't call anybody a bad name unless it's the president.
Oh, that reminds me, because, well, you can if you're a blue check, but speaking of blue checks, did you see who lost his blue check? Did you?
No.
Louis Farrakhan no longer has his check mark.
Really?
That gives me a warm fuzzy. Probably should.
Good for Twitter. Good for Twitter.
At least they finally unchecked marked a liberal. I don't think they've done that yet. I don't really consider him a liberal, though, either, as much as I do a closet terrorist.
He's... I mean, I guess you could call him a liberal. I mean, since all the liberals seem to fawn over him for some reason.
That's not fawning, but we can't talk about what it actually is on the air.
I did not see that. That's good to hear. But it's true. I mean, you can if you or I call any blue check,
any name.
Hey, let's just bring it up since it's in the news. Say the C word. We will get suspended.
In a heartbeat.
Everybody on Twitter can call Trump anything they want, and it's fine. And he's not allowed to block them? That's crap. I don't care if he's the president of the United States. That's crap. If you're going to abuse, basically to me, what I look at it as, yes, you have access to the president of the United States on Twitter. But if you're going to abuse it, he should have every right to say, nope, you have no access to me.
I mean, to me, and again, this is simplistic, but my reaction to this judge's ruling, this would be like saying that the president isn't allowed to have a Secret Service present when he's in public, because the Secret Service may or may not block the public's access to the president. That's the same. To me, that's the same thing. There should be a protective barrier around any elected official, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what the letter is behind their name. The simple fact of the matter is, if they're being abused, they should have a recourse. I don't disagree with Twitter to that point about giving people access to a block button, but I do think that this precedent that's been set is going to be really, really dangerous for Twitter, because they're going to have to make some changes. And I think that's one of the reasons why, if you've noticed, since that rulings came out, all of a sudden they're being a lot more even-handed about the people that get in trouble. It's not just conservatives anymore. It's pretty much anybody that says anything crazy. It's still about 70-30, but there are more people on the other side of the aisle that are now starting to be treated the same way, because they're starting to realize that people really are paying attention to what the hell's happening on this platform. But speaking of what the hell's happening on this platform, really, really weird thing happened to a friend of ours. A gay patriot was suspended on Twitter recently. I think he's back now again, but he was suspended recently.
He is.
For calling Bradley Manning a traitor.
Yeah.
Now, I want you guys to let that sink in for a second, because I want to remind you, and yes, I said Bradley, I will never call him Chelsea, or him or her, because that's genetically not what he is. I don't care what the aftermarket modifications are, he's still a him. He has the chromosomes for it. You don't like it?
Jack is listening, and Rick just got suspended from Twitter.
Jack can kiss my ass. All right, but anyway, so I want you to let this sink in for a second, because the actual criminal charges that he went to jail for involve him being a traitor to the United States of America. And yet, someone was suspended for calling a blue check who actually was convicted of being a traitor. Tell me Twitter's not lost its ever-loving mind.
Oh, they lost it a long time ago.
Did they ever have it? That's my question.
I mean, have you ever looked at Rosie O'Donnell's timeline?
No, but that's because I avoid most of Rosie's interactions like the plague. Because see, the thing that's been the weirdest thing with Rosie is, you know, when she was younger and before she turned into this bitter old hag, she actually, I mean, she wasn't as crazy as she is now. When she was younger, she was funny. She actually didn't look like evil incarnate. But if you look at her now, you can tell that she's been reading her own press and buying into it for way too long now, because she looks like something that you would see from, like, the Cinderella story. And not in a good way.
Her timeline is literally Tourette's. And it's all directed at Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I see it every once in a while when people I know retweet it, but I don't go find it on purpose because I try to avoid crazy as much as possible. I try. I don't always succeed, but I try.
I'll take that back. It's not Donald Trump. It's
sorry, I was fighting the board. It's all directed at who?
Dana.
Oh, nice.
Lesh. Yeah.
Well, you know, it is Rosie after all.
She's insane. And she did, I will say, she did get locked out of her account about, maybe it was about this time last year. She got locked out of her account and had to delete some tweets. But that's all she had to do. I mean, she says things that would get any normal account suspended in minutes.
She says things that would get any normal account permabanned. I mean, let's just be real.
Right. Exactly. And it's fine. I don't understand what that little blue check mark. And I mean, I guess it's because she has like 3.2 million followers or whatever.
You know, I'm starting to wonder how accurate those counts are because, and it's not just her account that I've noticed it on. I've noticed a lot of blue check mark accounts with really, really high number of followers that when they, now, if they retweet something that's coming from somebody else, that usually gets quite a few hits. But when they put something out on their own, it's like, I mean, their timeline looks like my timeline, 50, 60, 75, 100, sometimes 200. And I'm thinking, dude, I only have like a little under 8,000 followers, and I'm getting the same kind of traction off my tweets that you are.
Well, if you look at like Chelsea Handler, that has like 7 million followers, or maybe even more. I mean, it's like astronomical amount of followers. 2/3 of her followers are fake.
Yeah.
2/3 of her followers are purchased.
I never have understood the concept on that.
And, you know, and who was it the other day? There was somebody that has, who's a liberal celebrity, maybe a celeb, maybe not a celebrity, maybe a journalist, and there was something going on, and I ran a Twitter audit on him, and I was impressed because I saw something really rare. She was like 99.5% authentic. And I was like, hey, cool. At least she earned her 1.1 million followers, you know, legitimately. Because a lot of these celebrities, they're so stuck on themselves that they have to have, I think it's like a goal, we have to try to get as close to Donald Trump followers or whatever as we can. So they just go out and buy followers. They got the money. It doesn't matter to them. You know, $50 will buy you like 20,000 followers. So they just go out and spend $1,000 and boom, I got 1 million followers.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, one last point to bring up, and then I guess we should start wrapping because we're already a little bit past the top of the hour again. And we didn't take a break again. Oh, well.
No, we didn't.
So, Alyssa Milano is at it again. Apparently, she decided to go on a tear about the Constitution today. I think it was today. Just, when is she going to... I mean, I always want to ask when she's going to stop, but then I realize, her and Nancy Pelosi are the best gifts to keep giving to the Republicans that we could ever ask for. So, at the same time, I'm like, just don't ever stop. So... just to kind of give you an overview, this comes in from the Daily Wire. Actress Alyssa Milano's Twitter feed has become ground zero for hot takes on hot-button social and political topics for the left-leaning celebrity. Variety in recent months, she's tackled the weighty issue of judicial interpretation and constitutional rights. In the wake of the horrific Parkland shooting, Milano posted her rationale for the repeal of the Second Amendment. Hint, it has to do with bloodletting and lead paint. On Tuesday, the actress weighed in on another amendment of the Constitution, the 14th, arguing it clearly wasn't intended to apply to women. Ms. Milano, if this is true, you should cease and desist Twitter immediately because you have zero First Amendment protection and therefore are subject to arrest by the federal government. Please and thank you. Put down your phone right now. I'm just saying this is the craziness of the left. This woman who has millions of followers, I don't know. I don't know if she's millions or hundreds of thousands. Anyway, either way, she's got a hell of a lot more followers than I do. And she doesn't even understand how the Constitution works. She keeps tweeting out about how we need the Equal Rights Amendment now, not realizing that the Constitution already grants her every single right that she ever needs, and the only thing that the Equal Rights Amendment would have dealt with was discrimination in pay, and that's already been taken care of at the federal level. So they really don't need any type of Equal Rights Amendment, but that's fine. If you want to talk about it, I don't care. But don't start telling me that as a woman who does nothing anymore but sit on social media and spout stupidity all day, every day, that you don't have the same constitutional protections as everybody else. Because if you didn't, I would have already called to have somebody arrest you. Just saying.
Yeah, and by the way, she has more money than you or I ever will.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. I think a lot of it goes up her nose. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? My bad.
Wait. Legal.
But yeah, so, that's like, that's all. I mean, look at all the other stars that at one point had more money than you and I did and now don't have any money to rub together. Like 50 Cent declared bankruptcy now how many times? Now he's trying to make money by deciding he's going to fight people? What the hell's going to know?
The dude has the most popular Life Water flavor named after him.
And he's still broke.
Still broke.
Let that sink in.
Laura just sniffed real hard.
But yeah, no, actually I have to give props to Chad and Mac today on the drive, because when I was riding home today, that's actually what I was listening to, and they were talking about all the old washed up celebrities that had millions of dollars that have now filed bankruptcy. The list is amazing because everybody, it goes back to the whole thing of all the celebrities that have been committing suicide lately. Everybody thinks money solves every single problem. It really doesn't. Because people that get rich too quick, they don't know what the hell to do with it, and they start throwing it away, and before they know it, they're broke again. People that think money solves every single problem when they have it and they realize it doesn't, it causes them all kinds of further hardship because they killed themselves to get where they are, thinking it was going to make them happy, just to find out that really the issue the entire time wasn't the world around them, but it was themselves. That's one of the things that I've been trying to get across to people now for years after seeing this over and over again. Because, guys, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but there was a time that I brought home about $250,000 a year when I was running my own business. So I've been pretty close to the top. I've been all the way back down to the bottom. I'm telling you, the only thing that can make you happy is you being comfortable with who you are. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how much money you don't have. At the end of the day, the things that matter are the people that are around you, the impact that you have on the people that are around you, and your ability to find a way to be comfortable with who you are and where you are in your place in life. You're not everybody's going to have the same successes as everybody else. Nobody's going to have exactly the same outcomes as anybody else. Our Constitution doesn't guarantee equal outcomes, no matter how much the left wants to make you think that it does, but it guarantees that we each have the same opportunities. But it's up to us as to what we do with those opportunities, because we all have the same opportunities at the end of the day. We all have the ability to forge our own path in this country, and that's one of the reasons why this country is and was, and as long as it exists, will forever be one of the best places on the planet, because we have the ability at the end of the day to overcome a caste system, because there isn't one in this country. But going back to one of the first things that Dan brought up in the beginning of the show is he doesn't understand how we got to this point. That's exactly how we got to this point. We started introducing concepts of lower class, middle class, upper class. We started segregating ourselves. We started basing people's worth on their wealth. So people that were looking at people driving around in Mercedes, and there was a time in this country when it was at its peak and everything was the way it was supposed to be, and it was all free markets and there was none of this class envy or anything else. There was a time that a father and son could be walking down the street, and the father would catch the gleam of a son's eye as somebody drove by in this nice new car, and the father would look down at the son and say, "Son, you like that car?" "Well, yeah, Dad, I really do." In this country, if you work hard and you save your money and you do what you're supposed to do, you can have a car like that. But the narrative has changed, because now that same conversation goes something like this. So father and son walking down the street, see a man driving down the street in a nice, bright, shiny new car. Father catches the gleam in the son's eye, father looks down at the son, says, "Son, you like that car?" "Well, yeah, Dad, I really do." "You know what, son? It's not fair that he has that car and you don't. We're going to find a way to make sure that he doesn't have it, because it's not fair." That's what's changed. We've decided that we're going to take from the successful and give to the people that don't give a crap about anything. That's the biggest thing, and that's one of the biggest problems in this country. We've decided that anybody who is successful is evil, and anybody who is poor is the Mother Teresa, when nothing could be further from the truth. There are good people in every economic socio-structure. There are bad people in every economic socio-structure. But the simple fact of the matter is, we didn't used to look at each other that way in this country, because it's like you said. There was a time that in this country it didn't matter what you were before you got here. As long as you came here the right way, it only mattered that you were an American. That's changed, because we started hyphenating everything. We started breaking it up by where we live, where we shop, where we work, how much money we make. And we've taught each other to be envious instead of being respectful. And that's why on social media, everybody hates everybody. Because it's what we're taught to do. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Thank you for saying it. Because you're right. You're 100% right. And we're all to a certain extent guilty of it. Like you said, envy. I mean, damn. Have you gone shopping for freaking new pickup trucks lately? I like driving pickup trucks.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
They ain't cheap no more.
No.
But that's the thing, you know, a pickup truck's become a luxury item. It actually used to be a pickup truck was a utility vehicle. Now it's become a luxury item. I mean, I've seen trucks that are nicer than my house. Yeah, and that says something, because I got a pretty nice house.
I mean, I've got a Chevy Silverado, half-ton Chevy Silverado, and mine is now 5 years old. To get into a new one, like, no way. I mean, I'm lucky that mine is. I mean, I have a company vehicle, but I'm looking at it and going, even as a company vehicle, I'm going to drive this thing as long as I can, because I can pretty much guarantee my next vehicle is probably not going to be as nice. Because the same truck now is, I mean, my truck's 5 years old. The same truck now is like $14,000 more than that was. I mean, I remember when $14,000 would buy you a nice pickup truck. Now it's $14,000 more.
Oh, now it's $14,000 down and $500 a month. No, not really, but it feels that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. I mean, it's 5 years old. I'm pushing 180,000 miles on it, and it still runs like the day we got it. But it's not going to last forever.
I don't honestly think I will ever buy a new car again. I mean, unless I get to the point where I'm just making money hand over fist, and then if I can pay cash for it, I might. But I'm kind of, and to be honest, I've never actually bought a new car. I'm just going to be honest. Even when I was making good money, I didn't see the point in it because I don't like the fact that when you buy a new car, and I know everybody feels really good when they're the first owner of a car, but what always kind of drove me crazy about the concept of buying something like that was the second you drive it off the lot, it's worth about half of what it was when you bought it. I don't like that.
Pretty much.
I mean,
yeah, I mean that's a little much. I think they say that the average depreciation is like 25%.
Yeah, I mean it was a little bit of an exaggeration, but still, when you drive something off the lot and 25% of it like disappears the second you drive it home, I got a problem with that. I mean,
as soon as it becomes a used car, which is the second you drive it off the lot, it's done.
And to me, that's why I've always pretty much, I mean, I buy used cars. I'll try to find a nice used car with low mileage on it. That's like the one that I've got right now. When we bought it, it had less than 40,000 miles on it. It was a 2011. It's in really good shape. It's unfortunately got some hail damage that I've never bothered to file a claim against because I really don't care. Because I mean, it's nothing that, I mean, I drive it to work and back. That's really the only thing I need a car for, is to get me from point A to point B. And that's why for me, not to steal a line from Dave Ramsey, but for me, the status symbol isn't going to be a Mercedes or a BMW sitting in my driveway. It's going to be the day that I get the deed from the bank and this place is actually officially mine. That's what I'm working towards, is getting this place paid off. Then after I've done that, maybe, just maybe, I'll get to the point, because that's what my dad did. I mean, my dad's bought a couple of new cars here and there, but but my dad's also a former body man and a former mechanic, so he had the same car, or same truck from like 1989 to like 2001, and then he bought another one, and then he just bought one in 2015. He finally said, you know what, this truck's done me good, but this will probably, because he's 66 now, he's like, this will probably be the last truck I ever buy. So he bought one of the ones with all the nice big bells and whistles in it. And I'm like, dude, I really, really want this truck. He's like, son, you couldn't afford this truck. I'm like, shut up, Dad.
Well, yeah, I mean, my truck's my office. I mean, it's my office. It's my lunchroom. Like I said, it's 5 years old and has almost 180,000 miles on it. I mean, I'm in my truck all the time. And it's, it's been a great truck. But like I said, looking at new ones, I think a Chevy 3/4 ton diesel, which is pretty much what I would love to have, you're looking at like $65,000 for a pickup truck.
Yeah, to me that's crazy. I mean, not that I wouldn't love to have one myself. I mean, I've always, up until now, I've pretty much been a Ford guy. But since I don't really buy new cars, usually when I buy used, I wind up finding something that's within my price range, and it doesn't really matter what kind it is. This time I actually happened to find a Chevy Malibu. I have to admit, I've been fairly impressed with the Chevy. I really enjoy driving it. It's got a lot of interesting features. It drove my wife crazy at first because this was one of the newest cars that we'd ever bought, and it has the road noise reduction. And I had it turned on for a while because I thought it was the coolest thing ever, because it would automatically turn the volume down when you stopped and automatically turn it up when you started driving again. But when my wife drove the car, she's like, this thing's possessed. I don't know what it's doing. She's like, the radio's getting louder on its own and it gets softer on its own. I don't know what it's doing. I said, honey, it's programmed to do that. And she said, what would you do that for? I almost wrecked thinking that I don't know what's going on with the car. So yeah, I turned it off. Better. That's a fight for another day. But I mean, it's just one of those things where again, I can own a nice car without it making me go bankrupt. But anyway, so anything else you want to talk about since we're about 20 minutes long at this point?
No. I mean, I think we should probably cut it off at this point. I get a nod from next to me.
Yeah, she's like, you better cut it off now or I'm going to be cutting something else off later. Just playing. All right, so anyway, well, actually, I mean, the good news is I actually was kind of planning on doing a show after this one, so the fact that we haven't taken any breaks at all, it kind of did get almost 2 shows out of it. So
yeah, you did.
At this point, we are going to call it a night, folks. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us like you do here every Friday night. Whether you catch us live, podcast, Memorex, makes no difference to me. The fact that you listen at all is absolutely amazing. The feedback that we get from these shows, especially when I go onto other people's shows, and then it draws other people into our stuff, and they're like, dude, I didn't even know you guys were here until I caught you on this other show. You guys are awesome. I've gotten actually a couple of really positive feedback comments from my appearance with Loftus that's drawn in some people that didn't even know we existed. That's one of the reasons why I like the idea of trying to guest on other people's shows, because you never know where your net's going to land. But on that note, we are going to get out of here so I can stop talking, because I need to take some more medicine pretty quick or I'm going to start coughing like a crazy person again. We will see you guys next week. I will be back, provided I can get my allergies back under control. I did finally get the right medicine again, so I'm hoping to have the allergies back under control. So I plan on doing a full AOTR schedule next week, as much as I can, but with new projects going on at work and new projects for some stuff that I'm working with some other folks with behind the scenes, my plate's pretty full right now, so I'm still learning how to balance with all the new stuff. But I will do my best to get things back to normal by next week. For myself and for Dan, I hope everybody has a great rest of your weekend. Again, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week.